guys, and welcome back to the channel. Darcy here. So yeah, I was just in an absolute mood. I wanted to do my makeup like I could be in Euphoria or Showgirls, and I wanted to talk about some movies. Also keep an eye out because I will also have a video coming up of some of my favourite books that should also be turned into movies, because I just filmed it like an hour ago probably. So yeah, we're doing 2 videos in one night. We're being productive, so let's just talk about some of my absolute favourite films of all time. Grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a little drink, tea, a cocktail, you decide, and let's talk about some films. So the first film I have on my list is The Birdcage. This is such a good film. It's so funny. It is so funny. And when I hear people talk about LGBT films, I never hear The Birdcage get brought up, which always confuses me. So you're basically following Armand and his life partner Albert, and Armand's son comes home one day because he had a drunken, I think, one night stand with a woman named Catherine, and his son tells him that he's dating someone, he's going to marry her, and he wants to bring her to meet them. That sounds all good, but her parents are super conservative, and one of them is a super conservative politician. So you're basically following them all meeting, them trying, Albert and Armand, trying to hide the fact that they are a gay couple, and trying to, hide their life basically, and the dry club they own beneath them and stuff. It's such a good commentary on what it means to, what it means to be, a top or a bottom, or what it means to be a masculine, gay man, or a feminine gay man. It really is a social running commentary on that, and also how, in my opinion, how, the views that we have can hold us back so much from getting to know other people simply because we may not understand an aspect of them. But I think this movie does a really good job of showing what happens when we close ourselves off based off our own prejudices. So yeah, I just think it's a fantastic running social commentary. I think it's really funny. I think Robin Williams, who plays Armand, is fantastic. And also, if you love Modern Family and you love Pepper, you will love Albert, because he's played by Nathan Lane, and he is so fantastic at it. Together they make such a good couple. So the next one we have is Call Me By Your Name, which is a novel by Andre Aciman. If you have never read that book but you've watched the film, read the book. If you want to cry even more and have your heart ripped out to a million shreds even more, or if you're a Pisces like me and you want to go through that experience, read Call Me By Your Name. The book is nothing like the film. That film is nothing in comparison to that book. I was with my ma and da, and I had to set the book down and leave and cry for 5 minutes. It's an emotional wreckage. The thing that I really liked about this after reading the book was the fact that the person who wrote the screenplay, I'll put his name up, or her name around here, expertly took a book to a film adaptation. All the stuff that was needed to be included and the important things were included. I wouldn't have cut anything else. I wouldn't have included anything else. It was really a fantastic adaptation from book to film. And what I also love about Call Me By Your Name is, I think, the cinematography in that film is stunning. It is so beautifully done. And at the end, when Elio is looking into the fire and the camera pans on his face, is such a beautiful technique, and it's used a lot in film, and it was such a good technique for that final scene. It just, the emotion and the heartbreak just radiated to you through the screen. So yeah, I just think it's an expert representation, and I think it's heartbreaking and it's heartwarming, and it brought that intensity that Elio feels during a novel about his experience of first love and what it means to be in love and how it feels to be in love, and it brings that through the screen, and it's just, I would honestly write an essay on Call Me By Your Name. So the next film is Wild at Heart by David Lynch. I actually have a Wild at Heart tattoo on my leg. So Wild at Heart, even is, for its faults, it is quite a slow burner, and I do think sometimes, even when I'm watching it as someone who loves the film, it kind of can drag on at certain points. But besides that, I think Wild at Heart was probably the most influential film for me, because it was a film that made me go, I always had my focus on theatre. Theatre was the thing I wanted to do. It was always my focus. But when I watched Wild at Heart, I was like, you know what, no, actually I think I could be really interested in making film, and that led me on to be interested in maybe the possibility of either writing or direct for TV. So it was the film that made me kind of be like, you know what, like I can extend past theatre and I could also do film and TV. It was that film that made me be like, oh my god, I want to be able to create these images, I want to be able to tell these stories. It's the thing that made me want to do that. So it's hugely probably influential on me in that way, and why it stayed with me for so long. So basically, in Wild at Heart, it's a romance movie, and you're following Lulu and Sailor as they kind of go on this ride through like America, and her mum is trying to find Lulu again, because she has kind of a control complex, kind of. And yeah, it's very much, it's kind of got references to Wizard of Oz and like Elvis Presley, and yeah, it's just a whole conundrum of influences, and it's really clear in the film what David Lynch was influenced by. I just think it's, again, the casting in this, Laura Dern and Nicolas Cage as Sailor and Lulu is fantastic. I know Nicolas Cage is a madman, but his portrayal of Sailor is so amazing. Like, the whole time you root for them, you want them to be good, you want them to be together, you want them to end up together. They're just them two, that couple that you really, really, for all their faults and for how mad they both are, you want it to work. You detest the mum. The mum is a fantastic villain. I think Wild at Heart is a way of doing a villain that you both feel pity for and that you really dislike. I think Wild at Heart is fantastic for that. So yeah, overall, I just think the story itself is really well done. Ending's a bit weird, but it's David Lynch, so who wouldn't expect that? So the next one is actually a Studio Ghibli. It is My Neighbour Totoro. This is such a heartwarming film. I have never seen a Studio Ghibli film before. This is my first film. And My Neighbour Totoro is just so... It's so heartwarming, and what I love about it is it's all through the view of the kids. You know, there's not an adult view in it, it's all through the view of the kids and their imagination and how big their imagination is. And you know, and what I love about it is the dad in it is so supportive of his children's imagination. He doesn't try and strip it, he doesn't try and tell them to, you know, don't be doing that, don't be saying that. You know, he really encourages them to be imaginative and to see the world as like a crazy kaleidoscope of colours, and I love that. So the next film we have is actually more recent, and it is Peanut Butter Falcon, and it is directed, I believe, by Tyler Nelson and Michael Schwartz. So you're basically following Zach, who is 22 years old, and he's got Down syndrome, and he's essentially placed in his home with like the elderly, but he's very high cognitive function. He shouldn't be there, and he escapes, and he wants to become a pro wrestler, and then he meets Tyler, who is basically a thief fisherman. And they essentially go on this road trip together while his carer, Eleanor, tries to come and find him. This is the absolute description of like a buddy comedy done so fantastically well, with so much representation, with such an amazing, and not even like, sorry, that's so like, and not in the sense of like, it doesn't ram any social messages down your throat. It's just, the story itself and the friendship between the two is really heartwarming to watch. Also, what I really loved about this was it showed the actual social context of it had a very particular effect on the film, in the sense that it's set in Virginia. It is set, I believe, very much kind of deep southern Virginia, and the effect that has on the characters and the way they go on. And I think that's something that is really interesting in films, how the social context affects the way the characters react and move in this like fictional world. Yeah, I just think it's absolutely fantastic. Also, the cinematography. Whoo! There's a scene where like Zach has like the wings on his back made from trees, and there's like a fire, and they're kind of moving about and dancing about, and the film score to that scene is everything. It is so beautifully done, it is so beautifully filmed. And the next movie, and the final movie I'm going to talk about, is Fish Tank by Andre Arnold. This is very much kind of like an indie film. It just follows the main character through her experience kind of living in a rough council estate, and trying to better her life for herself through her interest in dance and stuff. And yeah, it's just a really intimate portrayal of growing up when you don't have that much, and you know, growing up maybe when you're not in the best social or in the best you know, circumstances. And yeah, it's a really, again, it's kind of in a similar sense to the Birdcage. It's a very good commentary on the lack of support, I think, for people to improve their life prospects, especially when they're in a situation where it seems that that is almost impossible. And I think it shows what happens when you leave people in vulnerable positions, and the dangers of that if they're not properly cared for, the dangers of what can happen. So yeah, it stays with you, I think, is one of them things. I think I watched Fish Tank like I would say at least 4 or 5 years ago, and it's a movie that I've watched a good few times, and every time I watch it I find out something new about it, and I notice something else in it that makes me kind of love it even more. And the main character, even though she's not the most likable character on the planet, like, there's something about her that you want to just kind of hold her and care for her and be like it'll be okay kind of thing. So yeah, Fish Tank is a great independent indie film. It's also got Michael Fassbender in it. I think this was kind of one of his earlier roles, and he's absolutely fantastic in it as well. So yeah, again, a lot of these films are films that I just find myself that when I'm watching them, every time I watch them I find something new, and that's really exciting. They're well scripted, they're well acted, they're well filmed, and I think the most important thing is story. You know, every single one of these films has a fantastic story, and I think if you have that, then if you have that basis, and that's in anything you do, that's in writing, directing, acting, if you have a good story to start with, that's half the battle. So that's why I love all these films. They have great stories, and yeah, that's just a few of my favourite films. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a long chatty video, so I really hope you guys find some new film recommendations and some new ideas. So yeah, comment down below some of your favourite films. I would love to watch them and get some new recommendations. So yeah, have a great week, have a great night, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.